While the rest of Mexico celebrated the victory of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, this small town went about its business. That's because elections are banned here.
No, aquí no llegan las casillas. De hecho, se ha llegado a decomisar propaganda partidista y le hemos dado a saber a todo, no sé, a todo el estado, a todo México, que aquí pues no son bien recibidos, pues ningún tipo de proselitismo.
Cheran sits in the northwest portion of Michoacán. The state is overrun by violent crime and political corruption. But not here. Cheran's 20,000 residents solved those problems by kicking out politicians, cops, and its mayor.
Todo lo malo que sucedía antes del 2011, era pues gracias a los partidos políticos, porque pues tal vez por obtener el poder y eso se corrompían y incluso pues vendían a nuestra comunidad con el crimen organizado y demás.
Strict rules forbid political parties and campaigning within the town limits. Even motorists entering Cheran have to remove party bumper stickers.
Hemos visto y estamos viendo que se logra muchísimo más en todos los aspectos si dejamos fuera a los partidos políticos. Entonces, pues sí me gustaría que la gente de todo el país o de la región o, pues sí, mínimo, ¿no?, del estado, se pusiera a pensar en eso de que pues nos puede ir mucho mejor sin los partidos políticos. O sea que no los necesitamos para nada y yo creo que eso ya está comprobado aquí en Cheran.
Cheran also hasn't had a murder, kidnapping, or disappearance in 7 years. Minor offenses like theft, drunk driving, and disorderly conduct are dealt with by imposing community service. One way the town curtailed crime was limiting access. 3 entry checkpoints are staffed by guards with assault rifles and body armor. They're part of a homegrown patrol system in charge of protecting the town. That includes Andrés Fabián.
Los más importantes para mí serían, primero, en cuestiones de seguridad. Se ha logrado, pues, digamos que eliminar los delitos que antes se cometían aquí, como lo que viene siendo pues el crimen organizado o delincuencia organizada.
The town's transformation began in 2011 after a group of women decided to drive away illegal loggers.
Pues yo me siento bien. ¿Por qué? Porque, bueno, no nomás las mujeres, porque participamos mujeres, pero los hombres también participaron. Pero los que empezaron, las mujeres, ¿verdad? Y no uno nomás, pues, sino todo el pueblo. Todo el pueblo se juntó.
Witnesses rang the town bells to alert the community, and this set off an uprising that became known as the chiming.
Y si no van las campanas, no se comunicó ni se dijo, vamos a hacer esto, vamos a hacer el otro, no se dijo, no se dio organizado. O sea, fue, ¿cómo te voy a decir? Fue una sorpresa.
Up until this point, the town had been overrun by the loggers, who harassed and threatened residents.
Bien quemado, todo destrozado el monte, no dejaban ya más subir a uno los malos, por ahí les salían encapuchados y no, viera, salían con sus buenas armas.
Se sufrían varios aspectos porque ya la gente que venía y se robaba pues nuestra madera, empezaban a hacer otro tipo de actividades ilícitas. A las personas que trataban de defender así por cuenta propia el bosque, pues a muchos los desaparecieron, a muchos los asesinaron, los levantaron y nunca se supo hasta ahorita, nunca se supo ya más de esas personas.
Today, Cheran is governed by its residents with strict rules and guidelines based on their indigenous Purépecha roots.
Se hicieron varios borradores de cómo formar la estructura de gobierno. Sabíamos también que de nuestros antepasados ya se gobernaban de esta manera. Entonces, esa fue la manera en que nosotros iniciamos a organizarnos para tener esta forma de gobierno nuevamente.
Each block in Cheran discusses their issues at a community bonfire. Then they elect Geris, or representatives like Enerino Santa Clara, to bring these issues to the General Assembly.
Desde nuestras fogatas, desde nuestros barrios, desde las barricadas y con la ronda comunitaria, pero normalmente todos nos damos la protección. en ese sentido. Es donde vemos pues unos avances grandes, ¿no? Y exitosos para nosotros.
The community has also been slowly restoring the forest and nursing tree seedlings in a community garden.
A mí me gustaría que nuestra gente, nuestras futuras generaciones fueran aprendiendo precisamente esta forma de vida y que lo fueran poniendo en práctica y sobre todo que tuviéramos ese amor, se pudiera decir, por la naturaleza.
Cheran has become an example for other communities across Mexico. In 2018, 32 towns boycotted the presidential elections. Others are now looking to replicate its success against crime and corruption.
Hay una frase que personas externas a la comunidad vienen y nos la dicen, que se podría cheranizar a México o cuando menos a Michoacán. Entonces, ¿qué nos dan a entender con eso? Que todas las poblaciones pueden hacer lo que está haciendo Cheran, de rechazar y pues de no dejar que los partidos políticos se apoderen de los recursos.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows user modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
My fellow sheep, election season is upon us. Are you one of the 12% of Americans who still approves of our government? Then we need your help to force the other 88% into compliance. Our democracy depends on it. We're an organization called Citizens Against Too Much Unfettered Freedom, or CATMUF. CATMUF is a bipartisan flock of sheep whose goal is expanding government until nothing else remains. Because the government is here to help you. How can you help CATMUF help you? By only voting for candidates dedicated to expanding government. It's easy. You don't need to study the issues. No matter what a politician says when running for office, they're all dedicated to expanding government. And make sure you tell all your friends and family to vote for more government. Here at CATMUF, we don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, as long as you vote for candidates committed to growing our federal family. CATMUF, because folks just aren't smart enough to handle real freedom.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network on theconsciousresistance.com and solpodcast.org. So Peaceful Anarchism is covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. This allows reuse by anyone except for governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information for this at bipcot.org. So today I'm delighted to have Roy Duarte, who's coming in from Morelia, Mexico, and he's an anarchist. And you can find him on Instagram at RoyZNuff, RoyZNuff, and then on Facebook, Roy Duarte. And then he's working with another guy, Chris Harrigan, making a documentary on a small town in Mexico called Cheran. And the documentary is going to be called Anarchopocolypse. And it's about this town and how it's came to be stateless and how they resisted the Aztecs and remain stateless to this day. And it's a wonderful story, so looking forward to hearing about that. So, Roy, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
Yeah, no problem. I heard you on Jeff Berwick's Anarchast, and I'm really impressed by this place and what these people have done to maintain their sovereignty, their freedom. And it seems like a story that needs to be heard by many people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to you sharing it with my listeners. So yeah, please, before we get into that, just talk about your background a little bit and how you came to anarchism.
Of course. Well, how I came to anarchism, when Jeff asked me that question, man, I didn't really know the answer. But I mean, like, I've always had problems with authorities since, I don't know, kindergarten, even before that. Yeah, man. But I do remember something that happened during middle school, I guess, something like that. I remember we had to do these kind of like calligraphy exercises. We just had to repeat some words. Nobody wanted to do it, and there were some other guys from our classroom having fun outside. So I just asked the teacher, like, why do we have to do this? And she tells to me, like, just because. Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do anything, and I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. And so she asked me, why would you do that? Just because.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I guess things kind of like started since that somehow. And well, I've just realized it's just better when people is minding their own business, and not getting involved in someone else's stuff. And it's all based on respect and self-responsibility. So I'm very glad I'm an anarchist, man. Life is good, and I enjoy it a lot this way.
So when did you consider call yourself an anarchist? When did you start calling yourself an anarchist?
I think when I looked up for the definition, and I think also my headmaster called me an anarchist, but somehow I should have worried about that. But at the beginning it sounded kind of cool. It felt kind of cool. So I was like, okay, am I really an anarchist? I'm gonna look it up. So basically, anarchism is just no rulers.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not my way to roll, man. I've never had bosses or I've never wanted to be the boss as well. Just wanted to make my own thing. Mm. So I think since then, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's very true that that the word anarchism or anarchy has negative connotation. When you say it to people, they think of violence and Molotov cocktails and explosions and bombs and all that kind of stuff. And and so when I first made my website and YouTube channel, I was careful to put the word peaceful in there so people can, dispel any doubt as to what I'm referring to when I say anarchist. Because if you just say anarchist, they probably think that you're with Antifa and you want to go and destroy a Starbucks window and steal clothes from a merchandise store, So,
Yeah, people don't. I mean, most people have it very wrong with semantics nowadays, man. It's incredible.
Yeah. So that's I find just that word peaceful clears up a lot of things, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. Right. So yeah, I really find that it helps, and my wife, she's a lot happier now that I put the word peaceful in there because she was a little bit worried with the word anarchist. But yeah, like you said, it's nothing to be worried about. It's just a person who doesn't want to be ruled and doesn't want their neighbor to be ruled. It's like the same freedom that I want for myself. In order for me to be consistent, I must want that for my neighbor as well, right? So there's Larkin Rose often says that just being an anarchist does not necessarily make you a good person, and that's true. It could be like a serial killer or rapist or whatever. Saying I'm an anarchist, but I want to control you. I don't want rulers for myself, but I want to control you and make you my slave. Yeah. So that's not so consistent, but right?
Yeah, there's no consistency there, man.
So you gotta have some principles somewhere in there.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, so please get into Cheran and the history of it and how it came to be the way it is today.
Well, Cheran, this little town, the place is beautiful, man. It's in between the mountains of the state of Michoacan. It's like a forest. Chris Harrigan told me it reminded him of the forests in Canada, something people wouldn't normally expect from Mexico. But, well, the place is amazing. So it's just a small little town that has been there for probably thousands of years, as we've been told. And they are also very spiritual. Their most ancient spots in the town, it's all related to, well, their beliefs, which are some rocks that have some scripts in them and stuff. And well, also the story developed with the Purepecha Empire. They call themselves Purepecha, which is like the people from the area, the state of Michoacan, and they have been, well, they're known to be kind of, well, very contentious, but not invasive though, which is different. They're not conquerors; they just wanted to live life their way, basically. Right. They did have some problems with the Aztecs before the Spanish came. The Aztecs were just the imperialistic guys in the neighborhood, and they just wanted to destroy everything and rebuild it their own way. And ironically, they just got destroyed and things got rebuilt in a Spanish way. But the thing with the Aztecs and the Purepecha people is that they tried to invade them constantly. The Aztecs invaded several other people. What used to be the Mayans in the south, people in Oaxaca, several groups of people in what's Mexico now, and they never got to conquer the Purépechas. Actually, there was a time in which they tried to attack the Purépechas, but then they repelled the attack and followed them to one of their cities. They just, how do you say it in English? When you go to a city, take everything from there, and then
like
go back.
Pillage or plunder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so they did that. Apparently, they're guys you don't want to mess with. And, well, the Aztecs, well, they never managed to do anything. And also, well, the Aztecs were very, 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 very hated well, actually, people from like the Aztec, how do you call it? The main city of the Aztecs is Mexico City nowadays, and nobody in Mexico likes people from Mexico City. And everyone from Mexico thinks people from Michoacan, which is the state in which Cheran and the Purepecha people are, think it's very dangerous, and people is, well, very, moody and contentious and stuff. But well, it depends. If you want to do something to them, they're gonna react. They're not just gonna stand there. But yeah, the thing is that they repelled the Aztecs several times, and then when the Spanish people came, the Spanish had a huge advantage because they had technology. They had military knowledge from the old world. So the Purepecha were very aware of that, but they reached an agreement with the Spanish, and the Spanish actually wanted to do that because they knew it was going to be very, very hard to conquer them. And actually, they didn't got conquered. What happened actually was that they reached an agreement. The Spanish gave them some land, and the Spanish got some land, and the Purepecha got some other land to do whatever they wanted. Of course, there were some Europeans that wanted to take advantage of them, and there were some other Europeans that wanted to help them. One of them was called Vasco de Quiroga. But there was a former leader that got killed, and then the Purepecha they rebelled against the Spanish, and it was like a 5 to 10 year war or something. I'm not sure about the dates. I think I read that somewhere. But the thing is, it was a huge problem for the Spanish. These people caused some huge losses and problems for them. And nowadays, with what is the Mexican government, this one was the history just repeating itself, trying to mess with people they shouldn't mess with. So what happened is that political parties they separated a lot of people in towns. So basically, what happened? Well, this also happened in Cheran, and so what was happening is that since everyone was separated by the government and political parties, nobody got together to provide a solution for problems that were happening, and government was supposed to solve them, but nobody was solving them because people in government didn't really care. Actually, they did quite opposite. They just created more problems, make things way worse by making deals with organized crime. And organized crime, they saw all of the wealth in the forests and the mountains of Cheran. So they just hired some loggers, and they start logging the forests down. The deforestation that was taking place was awful. It's being reforested now, but you can still see some bald spots in the mountains. And when we saw the pictures they showed us, it was awful, man. And getting those people inside of like someone else's homeland, it was awful. Because actually, you know, their life depended on the trees, because the trees were capturing water, and well, as humans, we kind of need water to survive. So that's basically how things started like going bad in Cheran. And there were people who were standing up to the organized crime loggers, and they were just asking them like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to my house? I haven't done anything to you, and this is not fair. And well, those people got disappeared, some killed, and the organized crime, when they were asked that, they were constantly replying, this is just the beginning. After this, we're gonna go for your women, for your sisters, your mothers, daughters, whatever. So that's when things got tough. And I believe it was April 15th of 2011. It was when the whole thing started. Well, it was the night before that. They were handing these little papers among the community. And the information within these papers was that they were gonna stop things, you know, just they were not letting these criminals, government and cartel, to take advantage of them. So on these little papers, they were telling people, tomorrow at 6 a.m., we're gonna ring the bells of all the churches in town, and we're just gonna get the loggers, take their things, kick them out of town. So that actually happened. But what's really amazing here is that when they actually did that, okay, so at 6 a.m., the bells from the churches start ringing. They start launching firecrackers and stuff. And they told me normally when that happens, it's because there's something going on, something big and something important. So at 6 a.m. that was super unusual. And what happens after that is that the trucks from the organized crime that were fully loaded with logs were coming down from the mountains. So some small ladies, they stop these trucks, they take the people out of them. And these were heavily armed guys. They had machine guns and stuff because they were cartel people. But the people who were stopping them, they had nothing but sticks, machetes, a couple of 22s, and that's it. But they just took them out of their cars. They beat it the hell out of them, and I believe they were trying to hang them in the tree in a small plaza. But actually, they hanged them, but they didn't kill them, and they kicked them out. So after kicking all the criminals out of town, they realized that they were coming back. Things were not going to stay that way. So they take guns from the police. They kicked police out. The mayor at the time, he was exiled. I think he just passed away like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I don't know. And they organized themselves in the following way. Women were inside of town feeding children and old people by establishing fireplaces in every corner of the street, and men were outside in the woods taking care no one would get inside from those spots. So since then they have been organizing their way of living themselves, and there was a proposal to actually have some kind of system, because they're used to have kind of like government, but they don't want the Mexican government, so they want everything to be voluntary. So they proposed something to people, and their proposal was to do things the way their ancestors did. And if the people accepted that, they would do it. If not, they would look for something else. And so they made that proposal to the people in the town. They accepted it. And the way things work right now is that there is a mayor council that it's kind of like selected by the people in town. They made a consensus. Somehow it's more complex. I'm not very well informed about that, but I'm pretty sure it's some kind of consensus. But anyway, the thing is they get elected by that process, and people just select the people that they think will be good doing the job the community needs to be done. Like, roads, water, electricity and stuff, just dealing with those kind of things. And of course, getting rid of political parties. So what happened is that they ended up saving a huge amount of money. Oh, and the people that got selected as members of the mayor council, they're not able to be part of the council again, and their position is voluntary. If they don't want to do it, it's all right. If they want to do it, well, they're welcome to do so. And I do believe they do not get paid.
Mm. Very cool. So very different from a politician then.
Oh, absolutely. And they're also open to other systems of organizing themselves, because they told me that even if the ways of their ancestors didn't work, they would open to just do something else. And I mean, like, while I was there, because we spent like 1 week. Well, first it was a trip with Jeff Berwick and Luke Radowski, Bob Stanley, Jacob Sula, Chris Harrigan, of course, and Jeff's wife and her friend. And well, it was just for a day. We didn't got to see a lot of things, but what we really noticed it was that we just were into the most peaceful town we've ever been in our whole lives. People were just chilling, smiling, kids playing with a ball on the streets, families together. I mean, everyone. That was something interesting, man, because everyone was just smiling and having a good time. They didn't look concerned about anything, and well, the food was amazing. We had these tacos called made out of this thing called carnitas. It was delicious, very cheap as well. Yeah.
I remember seeing a video of the so what's the leader called? Is there a name for the leader? Is it like, it's not like a mayor, right? The name for the person who's like,
yeah. Well, no, there's not one leader.
Oh, there's not one.
Yeah, there's a mayor council.
I see.
And every time the council wants to do something, they go and ask the people, like, hey, we plan to do this. Are you okay with this? This is gonna be the cost. If you have a better idea for solving this situation, you can just let us know. And this far, things have been going great for them. I mean, like, I don't even know what kind of how to call this kind of organization, because, well, it's not imposing it. It's not government, man.
Right.
Because government just imposes.
Right, by force, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I saw a video, and I don't know, somebody in that council, or maybe, somebody like that, was saying about the crime rates in Cheran is very, very low, right? Like violent crimes and thefts and, things like that, right?
Yeah, they told us they have been getting this past 4 years. The only problem I believe they had, I mean, like, when it comes to actual violence between one human and, well, two humans or more,
yeah,
it was just a drunk fight from a party or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the main issue they have right now is just some kids breaking windows, and like the town drunkies, they're just like 5 of them roaming around town just being drunk, and I think that's it. But there's no murder, there's no robbery, there's nothing bad going on, man. I mean, like, I felt pretty safe inside of that town, I'm telling you.
So okay, so since there's no official like central institution of power, so then there's no laws as we would know them. So like, how would you say? Let's say, like, what's the incentive for people not to be violent? You know what I mean? Like most people think the incentive in a state society is because they're going to go to prison if they're violent, right? So what's the incentive for people there not to be violent? Or is it just that pretty much everybody understands what common morality, like a normal person?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, they're pretty much aware that, well, it's not good to hurt someone else.
Right.
And besides, like, if someone wants to scam someone else, like, the reputation is in place. I mean, like, if you want to scam someone in there, everyone's gonna know that, and nobody will ever want to make a deal with you. So I think there are some rules, but they just got organically established by common sense, you know, not imposed.
Yeah, that sounds very much like when we talk about polycentric legal systems as opposed to, you know, state-run courts. You know, because people think that we need the state to lay down the law and also state courts, whereas in the past it was more, like you said, organically, spontaneously arisen codes of conduct, you know, about how people should act and what's fair, right? And then because, you know, you had, you know, there's always different judges that you know, there was not one judge, there was the state judge, and that you had to bow down to him. There was different judges, and so each of them, you know, kind of over time made their own separate, unique, I guess, way of arbitrating disputes. And so over time, you know, these norms, you know, ways that people should act develop, but not because, you know, one government institution laid down the law. So like, it kind of reminds me of that, you know, something that happens over time organically, right? Would you say that's similar?
Yeah, I think that's totally the situation in there, because there's like basically no law enforcement because it's not necessary.
Right.
Well, the only they have some security, like personal in there, which is also voluntary, but it's just for protecting the forests and like taking care of, well, not letting cartel inside of the town again. But that's pretty much it.
So they don't consider themselves part of Mexico at all?
Yeah, well, they consider themselves Mexicans, but even though if they see themselves as Mexicans, they still know that there's something going on, not only in this country, man, in several other countries as well. And that big problem is government and how, well, not only government, how media is like brainwashing people. They're telling me they come to cities, to like Morelia or another city close by called Uruapan, and sometimes they think people is just kind of like a little bit delusional, you know. And I don't want to know what they could think if they go to the U.S. or Western Europe or something, you know, man.
Well, how much exposure do they have of technology? Like how connected are they to the internet and to the outside world, things like that?
Well, yeah, they're connected. They have a 4G network in there.
Okay.
Only for one phone company, though. If you don't have that phone company, you're not gonna have connection.
Okay.
But they have like these small like places called cibers, and there's like a lot of computers there, and they just go there to check their email and stuff. But well, there's also some kids with their phones, you know, but not that much actually, because they don't buy like big fancy phones like everyone nowadays. Because, well, they have better things to do, you know, play outside basically.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the documentary that Chris is making, the Anarchopocolypse documentary.
Yeah, well, that's super interesting, man. Because, well, I wasn't planning to be a part of the documentary, but basically his documentary is mostly about how, well, the idea of anarchism could take over, you know. And well, he told me also that there was a misconception of what the word apocalypse meant.
Yeah.
It's another misconception again. But it was basically just about how things could change and how could they, and well, how could the outcome be anarchy, basically? Because, well, there are like self-destructive ideals when it comes to a social organization that's based on, well, that is basically, that's the state, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of like something like that. The term's kind of complex. I don't really remember that, but what happened is that I was just supposed to like translate for him, but somehow I ended up like being the guy who's the how do you say it in English? The guy who's just explaining everything on camera in a documentary. Yeah.
The narrator.
The narrator. Yeah, the narrator.
And, like I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, man, it somehow happened, and oh man, the translations, they were hard. Luke was making an interview with one of the elders. He was an academic, so he was just telling us the story of the town and everything. And he was talking really fast, man, and saying a lot of words. I told him, like, just say small sentences and then I'll just translate them. Right. Yeah, he didn't do it. He got into his talk, and I was trying to stop him, but he was like, I mean, like, he was very, very passionate about what he was talking about. That was awesome. Right. But it was kind of hard for me to translate, yeah.
So you said he was an intellectual. What was his specialty?
He went to this university called UNAM. That's in Mexico City. He studied indigenous. It's a like, well, in Mexico it's called licenciatura, which is like the equivalent to the degree, I guess. And it was on indigenous towns, basically.
Okay. Sure. And so do these people, if you were to ask them, the people who live in Cheran, would you say that they call themselves anarchists? Do they consider themselves anarchists, or they don't like identify with that word at all?
I don't think they identified themselves with that word, but if you explain to them what it really is, I'm pretty sure they would, because they're just people that's very grounded, man.
Right.
They're very down to earth, so they know that in order to have their life in order, they have to be like responsible with themselves, work hard, and also don't mess with others, because that has consequences.
Right.
So you can do something that has good consequences, or you can just do something that has, well, bad consequences, of course. And they actually question a lot when you try to like impose something to them, you know, because we're also staying next to this little school at the hotel. And I was listening to everything that was coming out of the classroom. And it's basically what I told you would happen to me, man. There's this bad like habit teachers have, that they just want kids to do things. There could be a reason for that, there could not be a reason for that, but well, I mean, like, you gotta let them know, otherwise they're not gonna listen. And some kids are gonna say like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And yeah, but like grown-ups nowadays, I mean, like, they're just used to, you know, obeying. But like people in Cheran, somehow you tell them like, hey, could you do this? And they could be like, why? You know?
I see. Yeah, you know, when we talk about or you know, when I talk about this idea of stateless societies, and you know, we criticize the state and all of its actions and the money printing and the wars and all that, and a lot of people will accept that there are problems with the state, but they wouldn't accept the idea that we don't need the state at all. Like, a lot of people are afraid of that idea. And there's this saying that you know, the devil that you know is not as bad as the devil you don't know, right? So people
that's a good saying, man.
Right. So people are willing to accept, even though the state is violent and does violate, you know, people's property rights and people's you know, bodies and things. They're willing to accept it because they always think that the alternative must be even worse, right? And I think it's our job as anarchists and volunteers to say that Of course there's a better way. What are you talking about? You think the only way to fund a road is to steal from people? Is that the only way that flat surfaces can be made? Like, it's so ridiculous, this idea. You know, this is one cartoon I love. You know, you see aliens that are leaving Earth. They just visit Earth, and one alien say to the other alien is like they're stealing money from each other, and they're patting themselves on the back that they're so civilized.
Yeah, man.
So like what I'm saying is that some of them say, you know, okay, if you're saying stateless society, if that's what we should be, why hasn't there been one yet? You know, or you know, give me an example, right? And on the one hand, it shouldn't matter if there was an example or not, right? It's like you know, people with cord phones, you know, and then Steve Jobs comes along and says, I have this idea that we make cordless phone, you know, a smartphone. And they're like, no. Show me an example of a cordless phone, and I'll believe you that you can make cordless phone. And of course, there is no example, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right? And the same thing with chain slavery, right? When abolitionists in the 19th century said, you know what, maybe we should do away with chain slavery because it's a horrible way to treat people and we shouldn't control and enslave people. They're like, well, show me a society that doesn't have slavery. And it would be very difficult to show you, because at that time probably every society had slavery. But still, that doesn't justify slavery.
So that's the thing, right? I mean, like, there's some kind of attachment to old ideas, ideas that just don't work, man. Yeah. And I think the camp that, well, there's something going on. I mean, like, there's some people who's aware of better solutions or better ways, you know. But a huge problem I've been seeing this is the thing I wanted to talk to you about, is that, well, so there's people who's aware of how things could be, you know, better. But of course there's people who doesn't. I mean, like big statists, the left, you know, social justice warriors, for example. And they do a thing that's just not improving the situation, man. There's just ridiculing them, or, you know, attacking them, and, you know, making fun of them and stuff. And this I mean, like, you know, these people is like easily offended. So offending easily offended people is just gonna end up in one thing, man: violence. And you have seen the streets in the US, you have seen the things in Europe, man, how people react to, like, I don't know, these kind of trigger things and stuff.
Triggers. Right.
Yeah, man. And I mean, like, I gotta admit, it's tough to not make fun of these guys. Yeah.
It's really hard. Trust me, it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, man, because it's ridiculous. But the thing is, I think we should just approach them from from a different way, you know. We just have to make a different approach. Because, well, in the very end, I just wonder, how do these people feel, man? I mean, like, they're not free. Most of the guys I've met from the far left, they're, like, constantly depressed. They're full of hate. So, gee, I wouldn't like to have a life like that, man. And I don't want to imagine how does it feel to just live like that all of the time.
Right.
So, they're just pretty disturbed people, man. And yeah, it's awful what's going on. I mean, like, very manipulated and indoctrinated into believing that only one thing can happen. So I guess the solution would be just to approach them and, like, offer them to put into perspective that probably the things they believe to be truth are not, or are incorrect, or they're not the best things to do.
Right.
I mean, like, you know, I don't know. What do you think, man?
So people rejected monarchy, right? They're like, it's horrible to have one person in charge, right? And then you had like plutarchy or aristocracy, and you're like, oh, no, it's horrible to have a small group of people in charge. And then they're like, okay, maybe representative democracy, right? Democracy. But the problem with that is now everybody has the incentive through government to try to control their neighbor, right? Through voting, you try to vote and force your neighbor through voting for a particular politician to get your way, right? So in that way, everybody becomes a mini dictator over each other, right? And just like you said, they seem very angry and frustrated and resentful and depressed. I can imagine that's understandable if you're always trying to control people. Of course you're going to be frustrated and resentful.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to control your neighbor, he's trying to control you. That's a horrible existence.
It is, man, and
Well,
they need to be aware of that, because like, if you want to control someone against that someone's interests, well, things are not gonna end up the way you want. So yeah, I agree with you with that one, man. Yeah, the outcome is not gonna please them. Like, quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah, and I tell people that to me, what anarchism is and voluntarism is basically, I explain to people that it's individual responsibility. It comes down to you. Forget about everyone else. I don't care. I don't care if my neighbor is a serial rapist and a murderer. I don't care. All I can control is myself, right? I can't control my neighbor. I can't control my village, I can't control anybody. Most people can barely control themselves. Actually, forget about controlling yourself. Most people can barely control themselves. Like, people have addictions and people have problems themselves. So can you imagine people who can't even control their own bodies and their own desires trying to control other people's bodies and desires? Like, I don't even understand that. So it's like, if you really want to improve the world, forget about everyone else. Focus on yourself first. Just make yourself a human being that other people want to emulate and that other people want to respect and admire, right? And if you do that, I think you're automatically making the world a better place. Forget about everyone else. Just work on yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're completely right. Like, most people is not aware that, like, that if they don't take care of themselves, if they lie, if they steal, if they're responsible, they're delivering a very bad individual to society, man. And the outcome of that is not gonna be nice. It's gonna cause a lot of negative things. But there's a lot of people who's like that, and they claim to be socialists or communists, and they want to save the world, and they want equality, and they think they're gonna achieve, like, happiness for everyone through that.
Right.
But Jesus Christ, man, have you seen their lives, man? The way they live? It's even disgusting, man. They don't even shower. So if they don't shower, what does that tell you about someone, man? I don't want a society full of those guys,
I know, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing, I think, you can draw a parallel to being a parent. How difficult do you think it is to control your child? Most kids, when they're young, they resist getting controlled. Most kids, some kids, I guess, have more of a submissive nature. But, in the beginning, they'll probably resist. And then maybe over time, the more you beat them, the more you yell at them and shout at them, maybe they're going to bend. Most kids will bend. There are a very small exception of kids who will continue to resist into adulthood with that kind of treatment. But yeah, it's not easy even to control your own kids. And you can see how most people want to be free. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be controlled and manipulated in how they think, right? Most kids, I think, resist being in government schools. Go ahead.
I think something that needs to even in parenthood or wherever it is, if you let a kid do whatever he wants, he's never gonna learn. He's gonna learn about life, but with consequences.
Right.
So I think the best thing is to let them know what the consequences of their acts will be. That's how my father was with me. He told me, like, all right, man, if you do this, you help people, you're honest, you work hard, you will do good. But if you don't, if you go out to party, or you lie, or you try to hurt someone else, you're not gonna have a nice time.
Right.
And you can see that everywhere. Good examples and bad examples, you can see them. So, I guess, you don't have to impose things on people, especially kids.
Yeah, and I think the value of of a parent's advice, you know, it shouldn't rely on brute force and strength and punishing your child. It should rely on, you know, the wisdom that you've acquired over the years from living on the earth. And, you know, so the value should be inherent in the advice that you give your child. So if they feel like, you know, you tell them something and then they find that out to be true, then they're going to respect you even more. Right? Because they see that what you're saying is true. You don't have to force them to believe it. They see that it's true, right?
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, there might be some people thinking like, but what if they are like hyperactive, or they just won't shut up or calm down or something?
Right.
And well, I guess you should I mean, like there should be a way to calm kids down. I mean, like if I want to calm down, I just breathe.
Right.
Maybe kids could do the same thing.
Well, there's many ways to do. Like, I mean, I'm not going to claim that I never raise my voice with my kids. Like, I'm not perfect, definitely not. But I'm always trying. And you know, if I do stuff like that, like raise my voice, you know, I do apologize. You know, but we don't really like punish much. Like, we don't, you know, definitely no, you know, physical punishment. But yeah, I try to talk to my kids. You know, I consider myself like an advisor, like a friend, you know, and somebody that they can come to for advice, right? I'm not an authority figure. I'm not telling them what to do or forcing them to do something. You know, my kids are 8 and 6, so, you know, maybe it's different when they're like 1, you know, and they might walk into the road. That's a little bit different. But now they're 8 and 6, so they understand things a lot better. And so I can begin to have conversations with them explaining the consequences of certain actions, and they understand it. And that's wonderful because, you know, the one thing, like, we understand, you know, you say, I ask people, how do you teach kids how to speak? By speaking. By speaking to them. That's how you teach them how to speak. How do you teach them how to walk? By walking, showing them how to walk, right? How do you teach them anything? By doing, right? And so the same thing, if you want your kids to reason and to learn to use their brain and logic, then you should demonstrate that, and you should reason with them and use logic yourself, rather than just telling them because I told you, or forcing them to do something, or else they'll get punished, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's better to lead your kids by example. I mean, like, I don't have any kids, man. I don't know about it, but well, I just want to go through common sense, I guess. But I mean, like, going back to what I was telling you, I think the individual is the basis of a healthy society, and that's something that was remarked in one of Cheran's like ideals, because they even showed us this graph that was kind of like you know, how do you call the shape of a hurricane? That's a spiral.
Spiral, right.
So they showed us this spiral, and at the center of the spiral, there was the word individual, then family, then neighbors, community, and then society. So they told us that they were basing their way of living on the individual.
Wow, very nice.
Very powerful stuff,
awesome.
man.
That's awesome. I love it.
And people need to get that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, I mean, we're making a lot of noise about Cheran, because they are a leading example.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is very, very, very needed nowadays, especially with everything that's going on in people's heads. And I think, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, you were just reminding me of one of my favorite quotes by Confucius, old Chinese philosopher. He said, "If you want to improve the world, improve the country. If you want to improve the country, improve your city. If you want to improve the city, improve your town. If you want to improve the town, improve your family. And if you want to improve your family, improve yourself."
Yes.
So it always comes down to the self. Always. It doesn't matter what you want to do in life. You know, it always comes back to you, right?
Yeah, man. And oh my God. And I was getting a lot of fire from a comment I made on Facebook. I have this friend who lives in Mexico City, but she's from the US. But well, she's very like liberal and statist and stuff. So she had a very bad reaction with this Kavanaugh thing, I guess. I don't know a lot about it because I don't care.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah. But the thing, I mean, like she quoted no, she didn't quote, she wrote above her post, this is a horrible world, men are awful and stuff, and I just told her, if you stay away from politics and other people's lives, it's not gonna be so bad.
Right.
Jesus, man. So this is a liberal girl on Facebook. She has a lot of liberal friends as well. So I got a lot of fire for that, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a guy convincing me that I should vote and stuff, that I should be responsible with my civil duties. And I asked him, like, what's being responsible for you and what are civil duties for you? Dude, and he told me, oh, these questions are based on your indoctrination to reject a healthful... I'm like, dude, what the hell are you talking about, man? I'm just asking you, what do you mean by stuff? And that's it. But he didn't even want to reply that, you know?
Yeah.
And apparently I was the indoctrinated one. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Your friend, the woman, when she said, you said all men are evil or something, or what's wrong with all men? You should have sent her. You should have sent her a story about like a, I don't know, a woman who did a horrible thing, and then say all women are evil, and then and then she'll say, wait, what? No, not all women. I'm a good person. Then you say, exactly. Yeah. Not all women. Some women are evil, and some men are evil. Okay, stop generalizing.
Yeah. That's the thing, and there's actually something going on. I mean, like everyone's taking sides, you know. Feminists, they claim like, yeah, we want to protect women and stuff, and social justice warriors, they want to protect like Jesus, or well, Black Lives Matter, they want to protect black people or whatever.
Right.
But the thing is, if you want to help someone, why don't you just like help everyone, whoever it is, and just don't discriminate based on if it's a woman, a man, or like white, black, or whatever.
Yeah. I had a friend that tried to convince me that I'm an anarchist. That I'm a feminist. She asked me, she is a feminist, and she said, "Are you a feminist?" And I said, "Well, I think all people should be free, and I don't really discriminate against it." She's like, "You're a feminist." I'm like, "Wait, what? What? No, no. If I had to say exactly what I'm for black freedom, I'm for white freedom, for Hispanic freedom, for women freedom, and for that list would be too long. So it's just simpler to say I'm an anarchist and a voluntarist, and I think everybody should be free. So why are you going to single out one group of people? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't seem to get that, man. Everyone nowadays is so obsessed with ideas and political affiliations and stuff. And I do remember, man, like in 2008. No, it was not like that. People were like more, in my experience here in Mexico, people were more like chilled, you know. And Mexicans in general, they're chilled and they don't get involved so much unless you go to Mexico City, Guadalajara, or Monterrey, which are the big cities. And they want to like follow the trend.
Wow.
Yeah, which, I mean, like, it's pretty stupid to follow a political trend, because if you have a political affiliation, you should have a reason. And you shouldn't do it just to follow a stupid trend.
Right.
But well, that's another story, man. But anyway, I was telling you, 2008, things were chilled out. I mean, like, everyone was minding their own business. Facebook wasn't radicalizing everyone, like social media in general. And that same vibe I perceived, like in those years, that same vibe was the same vibe I perceived in Cheran, because everyone was just minding their own business. The town doesn't have a lot of resources, so they don't have a lot of access to technology. They do have some smartphones and stuff, but like I told you, everyone's just doing their job, or like, I don't know, just going to their school or playing with their friends or just having fun, man. Everyone just in their own thing.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah, one of my favorite memes says, anarchists or voluntarists are trying to take over the world to leave you alone. Right?
Yeah, we kind of are. I don't know.
It's like people saying, stop trying to force your anarchism on me or your voluntarism on me. It's like, wait, what? Who's forcing who? Wait, what's going on? I'm not using any institution of power behind my words. You are, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of like a paradox, right?
Yeah.
It's a paradox anarchism is going through right now, I guess. Shit.
Yeah.
More things to think about.
You gotta stop forcing your anarchism on people, Roy. Okay, just calm down, relax.
Okay.
You're making all this talk of freedom. You're making people uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll just talk about gulags or communism.
Right. So yeah. So maybe we'll finish up with maybe if you can mention the your contact information once again, so people can contact you if they want to find out more about this topic.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook as Roy Duarte. Just look it like that, and on Instagram, ROYCNUF. And I will try to reply to you as soon as possible if you send me a message.
So, do you know the status of Anarchopocolypse? Like, what's his projected time that he's trying to get it released by?
The plan is, if everything's going according to plan, which I think it will, is to make the premiere on February on Anarchopocolypse.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah. Wow, that'd be really cool. Very cool. Hopefully I can get him on too. That'd be great. Cool. So another thing I asked my guests before we go is, what is your favorite quote of all time?
Okay, that's a tough one, man. It's like when you ask a guy, like, what's your favorite song or your favorite movie? But, well, I can think of a quote from Buddhism, actually, which is, if you want to enlighten everyone, you should, if you want to enlighten everything within everyone, you should first enlighten everything within yourself.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, Buddhism. That's another philosophy that I like the Eastern philosophy in general. I like Taoism because I practice Chinese medicine. I'm an acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist. And when I was in high school, I studied on my own, independent of government school. I studied Taoism and I loved it. And later, I learned that voluntarism has a lot of parallels to Taoism, in the sense of duality and balance and yin and yang, and so a lot of people have said that Lao Tzu, who's the Chinese philosopher that wrote the book Tao Te Ching, which Taoism is based on, was the first anarchist or libertarian 5,000 years ago. Which is
okay. I'm gonna research that, man. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Taoism. It's either spelled Taoism or ISM, or DAO, Taoism or Taoism. Yeah, really cool Chinese philosophy, and it's beautiful, and I think very similar to voluntarism in so many ways. Awesome conversation, Roy. I really appreciate you coming on. This is a wonderful topic. I hope people have learned a little bit about it, and we'll research it, and I'll put the link for the Patreon for Anarchopocolypse if people want to donate and help it out, help make it a reality. That would be awesome. So thanks a lot for coming on the show, Roy.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No problem. So this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network, on theconsciousresistance.com and solpodcast.org. Wishing all of you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see more of it, please feel free to donate and help me interview other fascinating people. You can do so through Patreon. That's patreon.com/peacefulanarchism to help me out. $1 a show is all I ask. If you feel so inclined to donate more, please feel free. It will only assist me in spreading the message of freedom and voluntarism that much farther and that much more efficiently. You can also donate to my Bitcoin. My Bitcoin address is in the description to my videos, as well as on my website, peacefulanarchism.com. And while you're on my site, there's a donate button to donate through PayPal. If you prefer to donate through PayPal, you can do so with that. But Patreon is a little bit easier for content creators, as you can set up a recurring donation if you so desire. Also, while you're on my website, peacefulanarchism.com, please feel free to sign up, enter your email address, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll receive updates every time I post something, a video or an interview. I do not send out any spam. Or you can also follow me on Facebook under facebook.com/peacefulanarchism or facebook.com/Danilo Cuellar 3, I believe. Danilo Cuellar 3. So either one of those methods, if you are able to donate, I would be most appreciative. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a magnificent day.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.